All right, everyone, a very special episode of Gotta Get Up where I try very hard and probably very poorly at curbing my bias. Let's see how we do. We'll talk about Seattle's win over New York. Gotta get up. Gotta get up. Gotta get up. Hey, women's basketball fans, welcome to Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans brought to you by Black Rosie Media and hosted by Erica L. Ayala. Hello, everyone. Daniel, always early in the chat. I love this. Thank you for dropping through, Daniel. We appreciate you. Welcome to an episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. However, we are going to lean into the Seattle Storm of it all tonight. That is because the Seattle Storm handed the New York Liberty their third consecutive loss, Brian, and we got to talk about it. Erica L. Ayala with Brian Fleurantin here. First, how you living, homie?
It's, everyone always says, I can't wait for it to be summer. And then the first day of summer hits and it's like, oh, wow, I forgot it gets really hot in New York. I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but it's super hot out there, and we're getting close for record highs tomorrow. So I am very much in shorts only, light colored clothing. I bought a new pair of running shoes a few days ago, so I've been walking around, breaking my shoes in, and a lot of water. Got
to stay hydrated in these streets. Listen, I'm not in New York these days anymore. I understand. Listen, I've lived that life quite literally my whole life up until 3 years ago. And then I moved to maybe one of the hottest places I've ever been in my life. I'm telling you, I've been to Vegas, the Vegas Strip in the middle of the summer. I've been to the desert in the middle of the summer. And there's just something about Tulsa heat, talking about that water. If you have not enough hydration, you will find out immediately. It's like you walk outside and you evaporate from the inside out. Like, it's wild. I don't even understand. I know how a crab in a boiling pot of water feels. But either way, we're here. We're inside. So we're safe for now. We're going to take it. Paparazzi, hello, welcome. Thank y'all for joining. Okay, we are without Roberta. This was and still is, excuse me, a crossover edition because the Seattle Storm played the New York Liberty. However, Roberta, life comes at us all. We all have things we got to handle, so we're gonna let Roberta have the night off. Always, though, Spirit is with us. I'm just a little mad I don't get to boot her off of the that's what we do at Tempestagi Talk. Anytime she gets a little funky talking about that New York Liberty, I'm like, you're in timeout. Back to the green. Right. Buckle up, eject. So we're wishing Roberta the best, and we should have her back soon. But we are going to talk about this New York Liberty versus Seattle Storm game. The Seattle Storm, they find a way, as someone from the New York Liberty might say, to thug out a win. That is one of my favorite Jonquil Jones sayings. I say it all the time here. 89-79 win for the Seattle Storm at Climate Pledge Arena. No Jonquil Jones, no Leonie Fibish, but there was one additional player that we weren't expecting to be without from the Liberty perspective, Brian. How do you think it impacted the game that there was no Sabrina Ionescu?
Yeah. When it's so funny, like for the pregame on Sunday, Sandy let off with that off top before she even got to any questions. And it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know that Sab was dealing with that. And now you're losing 20 points a game, 20 points, like 6 assists a night on super great shooting, downhill pressure. You're losing all of that in one package. And for the flow of the game, especially when you're down a player like Jonquil, like, I guess my thing as far as basketball strategy has always been, you want to stagger your best players. So they both, all your stars start the game. And then as you get the bench minutes, one of them was on the court at all times. So Stewie would sit, Sabrina would run the second unit with some folks. Sab sits, Stewie operates the ship and everything like that. So losing that player, especially at the last moment in that regard, with no real time to sort of adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
Made things really difficult. But I think for the Liberty, it's a situation where, okay, Sab is out. she gets a few extra days to rest up, get her neck right, because neck injuries are tricky. And Sandy mentioned this is something that happened last year. So you don't want to sort of like rush her, because now that I think about it, she suffered the neck injury in Las Vegas last year, and her shooting took a bit of a dip for like 3 weeks. So you want to make sure that if she's not all the way there, just be like, hey, sit down for a little bit. We'll treat you, make sure you're good to go. And then when you come back, you're ready to resume your all WNBA level play. So I think for a game like this, especially against who I think I had Seattle in my titles tier at the beginning of the year.
Okay, we're going to go back. We're going to go back. Yep.
Actually, I think I had them as I don't think I did have them as a contender tier. Now that I think about it, I think I had them in the playoff part, but not the contender tier.
Yeah.
And in a life where Skylar Diggins and Nneka Ogwumike are running ship, they live to prove people like me wrong. So it's like, oh, you're not respecting a former MVP and Madam President. How about this, buddy?
We're going to talk about that, because I might have to remove myself from the chat in a little bit. But we'll get to that. So for the purposes of today, especially since Roberta is not here, I was going to play moderator between y'all. But again, we're going to give Roberta some time to just handle what she's got to handle, and no stress. We try to keep it light here, even when I boot her off it's all fun, it's all games. But so I'm gonna give you the floor to really dig into the Liberty side of things, and I'm gonna take the Seattle Storm side of things. And you talked about Nneka, Skylar. We have to talk about Gabby Williams.
Yes,
Gabby Williams is, I saw this, the New York, or see, there I go, messing up already. The Seattle Storm PR put out this stat. I talked about it on CBS Sports today. Gabby Williams got her first double-double the other day. And then she got another double-double in this game against the New York Liberty. She was phenomenal. And she's the first player to get consecutive double-doubles. But she did, so she got 10 assists and 12 points. And then she had a rebounds points double-double, or rebounds assist double. Basically, she's doing it all, is my point. And the thing that was so interesting during this game is that, and we've heard Sky talk about this, is that Gabby doesn't feel she's getting calls. Especially she's getting, there's a lot of contact. And Brian, a lot of players in the WNBA, including the helicopter herself, they'll say a lot of things, they'll say a lot of things. With Gabby, like, if you watch these games, she's getting bulldozed. And it's not anything flagrant, but there's a lot of contact because of how she plays. She's downhill, accelerates downhill very fast. She gets to the cup. We know what she can do. I was on HQ, CBS Sports HQ. She has 36, I think, blocks, almost 40 blocks already. We're just over a quarter of the way through the season. She has 20 of those 30 some odd blocks in the last 5 games. What?
She's so beast. I love it.
What? How? What?
Hey, Erica.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. I've been in my head thinking of a Gabby All-Star appearance, but I feel like I'm underselling what I think she really might be aiming for.
Okay, let's talk about that. I didn't know we were gonna get there so early, but I love this. Go for it. Tell us.
Yes.
Do tell.
I would not be surprised if Gabby gets herself an all defensive team, but also maybe defensive player of the year. I would
put it out there.
Like, this is the year where she's done everything so well on that front. Like, so good. I trust Storm PR to start the campaign. Get it going.
And I'm glad you said that. We can see the chat agrees with you. See, look, Brian, I'm gonna tee you up to talk about the Liberty. This is why I love us, because like we keep it a buck, we gonna talk about everyone the way they deserve to be talked about. You feel
We
me?
got you. Yeah.
Except for we are not gonna talk about a certain T-shirt. I'm not doing that no more. We're not doing that. If y'all know, you know. If you watch, if y'all watch Tempestashi Talk, you know that I found out about the nickname for the 3 Indiana Fever players live on Black Rosie Media.
Boy.
I was not prepared. I am not entertained. I am not amused. And I am not here for it. We're not doing that. Don't put it in my Slack chat. Don't put it in my chat. Excommunicated. I will banish it. We are getting rid of that. Anyway, look at me going on a rant again. I'm trying to find the clip. But so I believe it was actually Storm PR. I was not in the room, but just from hearing the voices and recognizing some of the people now who work with the Storm, who also work with the Seattle Kraken when I'm, excuse me. See, I got to clear my throat. Let me clear my throat. You could, let's go. Okay. Sky and NECA were asked about Gabby Williams, like if you're not familiar with their game. Before the question could even be asked, Skylar was like, I'm gonna need y'all to stop. She's like, I feel like I talk about Gabby all the time. We talk about Gabby all the time. Why are we still talking about Gabby? Why do I have to make a case for her? Like she does. We know how good she is. How do y'all not know? Like what is going on? And again, I'm pretty sure it was Storm PR. They were like, okay, well, you know, just asking the question. And so I'm gonna play the clip because Sky is hilarious. I find her, I'm so glad I got over my, you know, baby Erica Yukon bias, because now I just get to enjoy everything that is Skylar Diggins. She's freaking hilarious. I know she's from the Midwest, right? But also, where her people from? Because she got some grit. She got some sandpaper. You know, I love me some grit and sandpaper. And her and NECA absolutely made the case, Brian. And the way Gabby is playing, like, I don't understand how you can't think that this is someone who, as you said, first team all defensive player. Like, is this serious? Are we joking? But also, you know, defensive player of the year, stay healthy. She's got to stay. This is great. Donovan saying, again, we talked about this. 8 steals in a game was the game I knew she's going for defensive player of the year. And again, she doesn't feel like she's getting calls. Her teammates don't feel like she's getting the respect. So, you know, so here we go. Oh, Damien, I see your comments. I've starred them, Damien. I want to let you know, because we're going to come to this. I have starred them, and they did, Donovan. They did go to bat. I'm also stalling here because I'm trying to find this video for y'all. We might have to come back to it. But like, Sky did not mince words. NECA did not mince words. Gabby Williams absolutely deserves to be in the running. Now, I did look at our ranking. We did have, both you and I can show this because I have this available. We did have, you and I, the Seattle Storm making the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Neither one of us, that's a good song. Anyway, neither one of us had them in the contenders category. Mm-hmm. And here's where we got to keep it a buck. Okay. I know no Horata here. We'll talk about we have another list we're going to go over. It's the consistency, right? Because let's also keep it a buck, Brian, and I'm going to give this off to you to talk about the other side of the game. Uh-huh. Also a good song.
We on this night, boy.
Roll, let's go. You know, I know BET got 106 in sports. Hit us up. You know what I'm saying? Come on. I do it seamlessly, flawlessly. Let's go. The music, the culture. Come on. Who got it?
And that's also corporate synergy with America's leading network.
That's it. I love how you hype up my employer. Like, I'm
in there.
Also, Manuela, hey, listen, I got to hit you up before LA 28. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. You know, listen, yeah, we could go on and on, but I see that you're working in the transit. I know you talked about that, working in transit in LA. It's, there's a lot going on in LA, a lot that y'all are getting ready for. So just appreciate you. Thank you for coming through. And hopefully, we could put a little smile on your face. Sending love, though, to you, especially everybody. But I just know that you've been talking about it in the chat. So before you left, I just wanted to send you some love. Okay. This Seattle team, like I said, they had to thug out a win with 3 starters gone from the New York Liberty. I want to ask you, Brian, is that a good sign for New York, a bad sign for Seattle, a bad sign for New York, a good sign for Seattle, or is it a little bit of all of the above?
I would say it's a sort of like smorgasbord of all of what you said. I think starting from the New York side, being down 3 starters against a solid playoff team like that, especially at the top of a road trip, there are things they can clean up in there and things they can sort of like organize and get right when it comes to sort of like getting their best sort of like flow and actions down pat. But the effort was there. I think Marine playing the way she did, I think is going to be super valuable. I feel like especially when MJ is really dialed in on offense, it really sort of like uplifts her. Like she's had a good week. Like she had a rough Thursday game, but Tuesday Sandy rode out with her to close out against Atlanta, and she was excellent on defense in that game. Like that's the thing that she's talked about, where the coach staff is like, we know you can defend. Like you can defend. We will make sure you defend. And she done did it. Like Tahina Power carved them up in that first half, held it to 0. Ryan Howard came off a game where she made like 9 3-pointers. It looked like she was so active in the game. And then you look at the box score, she's like 3 for 15. It's like, wait, what? And then it's like, oh yeah, they were playing good defense on her the whole game. Like they won in that big run with Marine spearheading it on the defensive side. Good stuff. And I think for a team like New York that was shorthanded and only playing like 8 players, there's a sort of like pride to like battling it out and figuring it out. And even when Seattle got up, I want to say their biggest lead was like 15 or 16, somewhere around there. It was in the teens for sure. The fact that they were able to sort of get back in it and sort of like really make it a 1-possession game, a few breaks here or there, maybe a challenge that should have come earlier, little things like that can be tweaked in a course of a playoff series. They can sort of get right. But the piece of it there, I think, is fine. Donovan, I'll come back to that. I'll come back to the first part in a little bit. I think for New York, it's a situation where you sort of see enough of a foundation built and things they need to sort of clean up and adjust. So I think they'll be fine in the long run. I was halfway thinking about it Thursday, and I'm glad Sandy did it on Sunday. Starting Rebecca Gardner, I like that a lot. Because I think for KB, she's best served as like a 6th woman off the bench because she spells by and large, and it's like she does that. Like she plays. She's had a great season, but sometimes the coaching staff doesn't really activate her. Sandy said as much in the Indiana game where she's like, I should have activated Kennedy more. And I feel like when KB starts, like she doesn't really like the drives are there for her, but she's not sort of like. And she's not like not a focal point per se, but there isn't like, many of those opportunities for her. I feel like her coming in the second unit really gives her that chance to really sort of like get right to it as compared to starting where you're like, you got to feed the big dogs first, make sure they're situated before you get into your thing. You coming in off the bench, you can just sort of like get right down to it. Those driving lanes are there. Those spread out, spaced out court. You have the opportunity to drive. You can sort of post up a little bit, do things like that. I feel like her coming off the bench is a better use of her talents. Like she's been great all around. But I think coming off the bench primarily, I think is the best bet for her. So I think for Sandy, I would probably keep Beck Gardner in the starting unit for a little bit until Leo comes back. And then when Leia returns, it's just, oh hey, Leia Keeper just here to blow shit up. She got it. Don't worry about it.
Listen, I want to get back to the good sign, bad sign again. There's a lot to talk about. Let's say solid sign. I want to get to, like you said, you're going to get to the first part. So I'll take, as the proxy here representing Tempestagi talk. Solid sign for Seattle to keep composure and win a must win. I think there's a little bit. It's like yes and kind of like what you were talking about. Absolutely, for a team where we have seen consistency be a problem, Brian. The fact that, I like a lead tracker here, bow. Like they dominated, okay? When it came to impact plays, and in the second half. And that's huge because, like you said, Mourinho Hannes, 7 of 7 from the floor, 3 3-pointers. Those were all of her points, basically, in the first half. Couldn't be stopped. And I thought it was hilarious. We were talking about it before we came on. You know, someone asked her, like, what was that smile about? Like, what were you smiling at the bench about? And she said, you know, they said something nice. And she's like, you know, I was just smiling because, you know, they weren't talking shit. I thought that was hilarious. And that she literally said shit. So I just thought that was, she's so, like, it's just heartwarming. She's so wholesome, you know, like Marine is just like a breath of fresh air that even her opponents can identify it. But again, I'm taking the Seattle perspective here. What I like about this Storm game, and you could say the opposite, but again, I'm taking Sue Bird way. I'm taking Lenny Wilkins way here, okay? Is that they capitalized on the mistakes that New York made. The turnovers, 21 turnovers for 22 points. You have to make teams pay if you are the Seattle Storm. What we also heard from NECA, what we also heard from Sky is that the consistency, the habits, actually talk about 106 in sports. NECA talked about how the team talks about music a lot in the post game and how the flow, the rhythm of a game, the rhythm of how they want to sound, how they, you know, one team, one band, one sound. No, but she talks about that. They talk about that. And so the little things, and the quote for the thumbnail for today is, well, actually now I can't remember the exact quote, but it's basically, she's talking about like hustle pays off sometimes or something like that. She's talking about how their engine was going. The grit factor was high. And we started seeing this team that has been very sus, okay, as the much younger folks than me say, looking hella mid on rebounds. They were able to find ways to win those 50-50 balls. I almost said pucks because that's, you know, hockey. The 50-50 balls, again, making teams pay for their turnovers. Because listen, Seattle I don't even remember, was it maybe either the second or the third quarter, Brian, where these teams it just felt like they were just exchanging turnovers. Yeah. And there were empty possessions galore on both sides. I was like, okay, somebody got to do something. Mm-hmm. I'm leaving here with something. You know what I'm saying? And Seattle figured it out. You can see here again the impact that Nneka Ogwumike had on this game. I think also if you look at what Seattle is able to get with regard to their bench, it's still more points for New York. But I mean, they had like 3 players on the bench at one point. You know, Jalen Sherrod went down for a little bit, but they're rounding things out. And Roberta and I talk about this all the time, Brian. This year's Seattle Storm team is reminiscent of the transition from the 2023 New York Liberty to the 2024 New York Liberty. In that, you remember my Easy Bake Oven. Yeah. Seattle was Easy Bake last year. You know, they were quick oats. Instant, not overnight. They said, put that hot water in that oatmeal and call it a day. Okay. Get a little fancy and maybe you find some frozen blueberries and you know, you act all fancy. But now they're trying to be that real crunchy style granola. They trying to be real crunchy, you know what I'm saying? And they're getting things tighter. They're spending more time together. They are loving each other, you know, as one Kelsey Plum would say. And I will never forget that, Kelsey. You messed me up with that. But that's all right. We're gonna move on. And you're starting to see with a win. I posit this. The win to me meant more than the loss for the New York Liberty because of the inconsistency that we've seen from Seattle, because this team proved to themselves that they can push. that they can find ways to win. NECA and Sky were asked after the game, what makes this team so difficult? They were kind of fighting back, and they were like, they're the defending champs.
Yeah.
like what you mean? Like, of course, they got something to prove every night, and every night someone's gonna bring it. Yeah. Right? That's what we're hearing on the Liberty side, right?
Yeah. And to that point, I guess I wonder for you in particular, do you think the past 2 games have been almost like a proof of concept for Seattle? Because they beat Vegas in Vegas on Friday, and then they beat New York in a game where New York was down, but the fight was still there. It feels like it's very much like if you're okay, this is what we do when we do it right. And then, for that Friday game in particular against Vegas, like it was close early on, and then it's, oh yeah, it's NECA time. Get in that mid post, like let's get to work. It felt like, yeah, it felt very much like proof of concept.
Say that too fast, you might get in some trouble, Brian. Be careful.
Boy. Speaking of places that had awkward comments yesterday.
Woo!
Yeah. You didn't mean it that way. I understood, but that pregnant pause, hey buddy. Hey. Like I heard it and I'm like, wait, hold up. And then it's like 15 seconds of dead air, and then it's like, not like that. And it's like, yes. The immediate yes after really sold it.
Sam was like, yes, fix that.
Yes.
Fix that. Oh my gosh, that was a mess.
Direct all your hate mail and comments to this Twitter handle, not mine. I was
like, did I just hear? Did she just say? And then she was like, hold up, let me fix that. And I was like, yes. Immediate. Like, anyway, Rebecca Lobo says something crazy. Like, I think it was unintentional. You know how she tries to be like a little cheeky? I said this in Slack. She tries to be a little cheeky. It just, the combination of words didn't really work out. Yeah. And then it was just like,
yeah.
Wait, I should clarify. And Pam Ward was like, yes.
Yeah. Trying to do comedy on a live broadcast is like doing math in public. It's like, it's either you should have got that right, or you look really bad and it's really loud and it's like,
yes, exactly. Thank you, Donovan. Hustle yields something. Absolutely. That's exactly. And yeah, it was I knew it was the second or the third. I was like, something right. You're right. The lid was on the basket. It was looking a little crazy, but you know what? Both teams overcame it. And I think you're right. This is kind of like a prove it. And that's why I think this game, the win, more impressive, maybe you want to say, more important, arguably, it just has a different feel. I think the win for Seattle is a bigger deal than the loss for New York.
Yeah.
Yes. And again, there's some comments that Damien has in here that I do want to get to. But, a bad sign for New York. We can talk about this one. A bad sign for New York. I think that the Liberty should make a trade, like trading a bench player or waiving a bench player. First of all, they're not doing that right now. I'll tell you that. I don't see that in the cards. Definitely not right now. And I mean, well, let me hear from you, Brian. I mean, are we at like DEFCON? I don't know actually what the ranking is there. Is it that bad? Like, is it time to shake up the roster?
Nah, I don't think so. Because I think ultimately for New York, like similar to the Seattle, as far as proof of concept, like the team isn't whole right now. Like the team is missing, but beyond missing it, Sabrina yesterday, they're not going to have JJ for till August, presumably.
Right. So give the update there, because we did get an update.
Yeah. So Saturday night, the Liberty announced that John Coyle is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with the ankle sprain. That, as it turns out, was the best case scenario because the initial injury looked really gnarly. And JJ grabbed her knee. I think all of us thought it was the worst case scenario, and it was like, oh God, this is a nightmare for her and the team. But in talking to the players in post game, KB was like, she's good. Like JJ's always optimistic about these things. Like I was shooting post game video, JJ was walking out, so I gave her a quick dap as she walked out. So it's like, okay, JJ, you straight, like you good.
Yeah, she's good. She's in a good headspace.
Yeah,
I mean, especially, and I feel like I was alluding to this once when I was talking on CBS, especially for post players, lower body injuries can be tough. There's a lot of pounding on the block, and ankles. I mean, you don't even have to go to a post play. Ask Sabrina Ionescu how bad an ankle sprain can be. Ask Candace Parker.
Yep.
Ask Kelsey Plum how bad an ankle sprain can be. Y'all, I sprained my toe, just my big toe, and I was out for months. And I now granted, I don't have all this rehab and trainers and things like that, you know what I'm saying? But the point is that sprains can be tough. And so not ideal for Jonquel Jones, especially for reasons that are coming up in Indianapolis, which we're going to talk about later. And I think everyone, the W, right? You know, if Caitlin Clark in a quad strain can bankrupt the league, imagine what JJ and no more double doubles can do. But anyway, I digress. I do want to, let's talk about this. And again, you're the Liberty expert for tonight. Hardship contract, because we've talked about this. Amir in our Slack channel has also asked about this. So my understanding, Brian, is that especially because Sherrod came back and we would imagine is available, that the New York Liberty are not quite at hardship level yet.
Yeah. As I understand the rule, if you're down 3 people for whatever reason, then you get the hardship. So if Sabrina were to miss like 2 weeks, for example, then they'd be eligible, assuming Leo's not back within the next like 10 days or whatever, they'd be able to sign a hardship contract player. And similar to how Indiana had Ari McDonald on a hardship contract, whenever the players who are out come back, that the hardship player is immediately waived. It's not because the team doesn't want them. It's just that the roster spot says that the person is almost like being a substitute teacher.
Right. It's like a conditional contract. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So when that player comes back, the hardship player is gone. As I understand it, Sab should be good to go on Wednesday from what Sandy was telling us in pregame on Sunday. So they would not be able to sort of like trigger that hardship contract piece for New York. So they'll just have to rock out with what they've got for a few weeks, I'd say.
Yeah. And Damien, just to clarify, again, Brian's taking the New York Liberty side. I'm taking the Seattle Storm side. My argument is not like, oh, yeah, New York, go ahead and lose games. Who needs to win? No, the point is that if we're weighing the value of a New York Liberty loss Sunday versus a Seattle Storm win, my estimation is that the value of the Seattle Storm win has more weight. Or I guess more weight would go this way. The point is, that's my argument. And not just because I'm taking the Seattle Storm side, but we needed to see that the Storm could win and have some consistency and gut out a win. We know that the Liberty can do that. And we also know that they have more players than they were expecting, more players out than they were expecting. So is this a panic button? No, it's an asterisk. For sure. It's okay, we got to keep eyes on this. We got to tighten up. But again, the weight of the win is heavier and more important, more valuable than the loss. Go ahead, Brian.
Also, fun fact, I just did a quick scan on the stats website for WNBA. That win for Seattle, they're first against Brianna Stewart.
Yes. So Dick Fane and I forget the woman's name. It starts with an A. I don't know. I'm blanking on her name right now. But I apologize. Sorry to that woman. You're great. You're doing amazing, sweetie. They were talking about it a lot on the broadcast. They also kept calling Marine the Wizard, and I was like, no, it's Le Magician. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay. Anyway, I was like, not the wizard. I mean, they're close. Like, is a wizard a magician?
I think.
Are they the same, or is it like a square rectangle thing? Like, is one?
That's a fascinating question.
Right? Are they synonymous?
They might be. Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay. Someone look it up. We're gonna have to go to the Google machine. I don't know about the Google machine because last I heard they don't believe in DEI. So anyway, Let's go. Bing. What do you say? Like, ask Jeeves. Oh, Jeeves. Hello. Ask your grandmama what she said. Oh man, yeah, waiting to have 9. This is just one of those things. Again, like we could go on about the CBA, and actually Nneka Ogwumike did. She gave us a little intel. The league has responded. And she also told us to keep asking questions. So, I was like, say less, sis. I'm gonna ask all the dang questions about the collective bargaining agreement because inquiring minds want to know. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. There is definitely a lot. Okay, Damien. It's not about me being wrong or right. I gave you my opinion. So since it's my opinion, it's immediately right because it's my opinion.
So I said so. Yeah.
Yeah, like my opinion is right because I said it was my opinion. It's not like I don't know. But respectfully, thank you for that though. It's not ideal. I mean, I never said that. Like, y'all already know I don't want the Liberty to lose games. In the grand scheme of things, Seattle needed that win. And you know what? I'm gonna take it there, Brian. I'm gonna say this. New York needed that loss.
Tell me more.
New York needs these kinds of games, but also these kinds of losses. We've been talking about this. New York has had to thug out some wins early in this season. And when you do that as the defending champs, everyone, including us, including Tosh Cloud, is like, who are you going to guard? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? And everyone else is trying to answer questions about your team. You can get into, I'm not saying that this is what is the case, but you can get into a like, oh, we'll figure it out. And for the most part, the New York Liberty have been able to do that. Then John Cole Jones comes with the injury. And where's the whole... but we're versatile, who you going to guard conversation. Who you going to guard? Not JJ because she's hurt. Not Lito because she's gone. Not Sab because she got an ice pack or maybe probably a heating pad. Anyway, the point is, so now it's not just theory. It's not just talk. It's not just repetitions in practice. Marine has had to step up. You already talked about that. Rebecca Gardner inserted into the starting lineup because I agree. I've never really liked KB as a starter. Sorry. Not my favorite. The flow is a little different. Like you already outlined it. So yeah, if you're going to take a L to Seattle, would you rather do it in June or at the end of September? I mean, Damien, we know. We've had these conversations, homie. We know. It's a New York thing. I understand. Getting a little bit excitable. Baby. And I'm not talking to Damien. I'm just, it's a phrase. It's a thing. I don't know. New York wasn't going to go undefeated this year. New York wasn't going to go undefeated this year. Like, that's not happening. That's not happening. It wasn't going to happen. Take your licks, take your lumps, and go back to the drawing board. And that's exactly what this team did. And now they're like, okay, we feel better about our rotations. We figured it out. Rebecca Gardner coming, Burke off the bench. And then what happens? No Sab. Jingle jangle, gone. Figure it out. Are you going to defend your championship or not? Figure it out. So, I don't know. Like, nobody wants to lose games. Nobody's out here trying to, it's not team tank. Nobody believes that. That's not happening. And if you want a championship team, that doesn't immediately mean perfection in June. Most of the time it doesn't. Undefeated championship teams, where they do that at in the WNBA? They going on 44 some odd games, Brian. And 7-game series now. Where they do that at?
A lot of basketball on plate.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a hard thing to do. Go undefeated? It wasn't going to happen. So yeah, take your looks now. Now, if they don't learn from it, then some of the things that Damien has been saying, Brian, you got to get with, right? Yeah. You got to get with. If you're not learning, I mean, if we want to keep it a buck, let's not act like the Liberty losing a third consecutive game with now 3 starters out is the same as what Vegas has been looking like, even with everybody.
Yeah,
let's not act like that's the same. That's not the same.
Yeah, there haven't been any losses where the head coach is like, it's not an execution issue, it's a heart issue. Like when that happens, then we'll have that conversation. But for now, I would say that for this group, it's just a matter of like fine tuning. Because like they're like just as a brief aside, like as an example, not an aside, I should say. Niara, she started yesterday, and those rolls to the rim were really good, but the finishes weren't, which is out of form for her, because usually she has really good touch at the rim, but she missed maybe like 3 bunnies, and 3 baskets within the flow of a game are critical. So those little opportunities there add up. Few turnovers where they sort of like kept turning it over, like they weren't able to adjust to Seattle's pressure. Like they're a smart enough group that they'll be able to sort of like course correct and adjust for that as the deeper we go in the season, especially with the combinations. So I would say that for New York, it's not a situation where there's need to panic. I wouldn't say that. I think it's a situation for everyone, because even when they were going undefeated, there was against were like, yeah, we could have been better. Like we and they, the team, have been going on about needing to be better in the glass. Like they lost yesterday, but they were +7 on the glass. We're just like, oh wow, that's surprising.
Exactly.
So, so like there's there's stuff.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, like there's stuff to clean up, and there's stuff that they can get right. So I think it's a matter of, and I will say, like West Coast trips for East Coast teams are always tough. Like pick the sport, pro basketball, baseball, football, hockey, whatever. Like whenever you're on the other side of the country as the East Coast team in the West, it feels like it's so much harder. So these games are going to be a challenge, and
this is a tough stretch.
This is the time of year where it's like, hey, this competition is really good. And funny enough, the team they're playing Wednesday, we were like, oh, expansion team, whatever. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Listen, hold on. Let's go back.
Uh-oh. So as Erica comes back, we're just going to do a little preview of Wednesday's game with the Valkyries. I've been super impressed by Golden State going back from their second game against New York. They really have a great sort of like their execution is really solid. Tiffany Hayes is back, so she's been able to pick up that scoring load for the team while everyone else is away at Eurobasket. Our girl Kayla Thornton has been sensational. I would say we'll get to a little bit later, but she's had such an amazing season that's probably going to be rewarded in a lot of really interesting ways. So we'll get into that a little bit more when Erica comes back up. So I'll just have a little pause in the meantime.
Man, listen. I'm in a new spot. Like everything just went dark. It was crazy. Like I was like, oh, they're coming for us. They're coming for us. Like it's a wrap. But everything's safe. We're good. Clearly, I gotta get a generator now at this office because this is crazy. Like I apologize for that, everyone. I forget what I was even saying, Brian, but
the heat is on, if you will.
The heat for real. Like no, it's for real. It's hella hot. I know we were talking about the heat earlier, but like the heat index is a little crazy here. We actually got. I don't know. Did y'all get an alert also from Con Ed?
I haven't gotten any
power.
Okay,
well,
I feel like I might have got an email from somebody, but
because sometimes I still get New York alerts, so I'm like, wait, are they talking about home or like home? You know what I'm saying? Apologies, everyone, and it took me a little while to get logged in on my cell phone. I think my computer's back up, so I'll probably switch back over here. But Brian, I wanted you to respond to. I don't know if you already did this, but as I'm switching things up here, listen, Chumps seems aggressive. Damien. Chumps seems aggressive. Like,
yeah,
do you think the defending champs are playing like chumps, or did they just get beat?
Yeah, because like I feel like they haven't like we were saying before the power cut out. Like they haven't had any like no effort losses. Like they really haven't had a loss like that where they were completely non-competitive since like 2022. So it's been a long time since they've had a loss where it's like, oh my god, they look completely out of